It's your boy Jonathan D'Angelo, aka Johnny D, Nekoyasha09, and you are tuned into another Blur Review session. And today, tonight, this morning, this afternoon, this evening, second breakfast, whenever you are tuned into this, we are talking about Black Lightning, the TV show, for another Blur Review session. And last week, we did part one of this, how the CW ruins Black characters, but for part two, we decided to hold a whole show about Black. So we about to get into it. So just to start off, we're just gonna hit the ground running. So just start off, okay? Black Lightning was one of the first Black commercial superheroes to come out. His predecessors were Black Panther and Storm from the X-Men. And Black Lightning, along with Black Panther, Luke Cage, and a lot of other the Bronze Tiger, Black Tiger, a lot of other characters were part of the Blaxploitation movement, where, you know, movies like Shaft and Foxy Brown were coming.
What you talking about, Johnny?
Yeah, Shaft and Foxy Brown were coming out, and white media wanted to capitalize on these Blaxploitation films. And one of the ways comic book did it was they merged Blaxploitation and a lot of times Kung Fu, because the Kung Fu era of cinema came out around the same time. And as a result of that, we got Black Panther, Luke Cage, Black Lightning. Black Lightning used to wear bell bottoms and a button down that was open to expose his chest hair. And it was lit. But he was first penned in April of 1977. His enemy was Tobias Well. Black Lightning, aka Jefferson Pierce, was a superhero published by DC Comics. First in American Comics, who was published by DC. Then DC bought American Comics and brought him under the umbrella. But basically, he was just a school teacher. School teacher, single dad, doing his thing. He was a metahuman who could control the powers of lightning and light. And he wanted to save his neighborhood from drug dealers and gangbangers. Very, very cliche Blaxploitation, very stereotypical Black
especially
story.
With the lightning powers.
Especially with the lightning.
Every black superhero has
to have
lightning. Light or lightning based power.
Has to have light or lightning. I'll tell you, you know what I'm saying? We can't have nothing else.
Or white hair. Or white hair.
Or white hair. You black? Electricity. The soul glow. Anyway, so that was Black Lightning's backstory. His enemy was an albino, Tobias Whale. Size may vary depending on the comics and skin tone, but originally albino. He was albino, and they went back to that in the TV show.
Which
and so
great.
Yeah, and eventually Black Lightning's daughters have powers. He meets up with the Justice League. He ends up working with Batman and Batman's group, the Outsiders. Black Lightning only ever has a 12-issue run. He's never had any more really than 12 issues, unfortunately. His most recent 12-issue run was part of DC's New 52, and I don't know who wrote that, but it definitely couldn't have been a Black person because the dialogue was garbage. Like, they really were trying to write Ebonics, and it was just horrible.
They didn't consult any Black person. Horrible. Oh no, let's be real.
And the thing is, too, like, another important fact about Black Lightning was that it said that he was an exaggerate. The way he talked, his vernacular was exaggerated Harlem Jive talk. So, you know, like, oh, what's cool at Jive Turkey and all that other stuff. Like, that's how he talked. And that was you know, and back then that was how we talked.
Yeah, it was. That was the 70s slang. Like, there's no escaping that at all.
So, you know, but somebody tried to incorporate that into the New 52.
And it's just like, come on now.
Yeah. I'm glad CW didn't, because I'd be mad. I'd be mad.
Listen.
I'd be mad. But the CW picked up Black Lightning. It's airing for 4 seasons. There is no season after 4.
Sadness.
Yeah, absolute sadness. Black Lightning is the first Black live action superhero on television. And it was great. It was great to see. We wanted it so bad. The only other Black superhero in the CW before him was Mr. Terrific. We got Mr. Terrific, Vixen, and Wally West.
Diggle, technically.
He would
Diggle.
no. Spartan does not count as a superhero. I'm
Diggle,
not.
yes, he does.
Spartan is in the comics, but I'm no. Diggle was destined for more, and they played him. I don't know. Like we last episode, y'all catch that last episode. Yeah. But Black Lightning is the first black superhero to have a main role, like to have a starring role as a superhero on television. So big ups to CW and DC Comics for giving us Black Lightning. But we're not here to big up. We're not here just to big up Black Lightning. We're here to actually point out his flaws. Yep. So season by season, we're gonna dissect, starting with season 1. So what did you think about season 1? Or do you want to? Yeah.
No, we can do that. Yeah, no. Season 1, it was decent. It was a nice build-up. It was world building. It helped us get used to the characters, who they are, get a feel for them, and the feel for the city and what to expect. It was basically your backstory season, and I thought it was decent. Wasn't bad, wasn't good. It was decent, especially since it was new territory for the CW and Greg Berlanti and all of them. That they had to play it safe, and I don't blame them for that.
Yeah, for sure.
Especially given the time slot. I think it was it 8 or 9 o'clock?
It was for me, I can tell you what time it was for me. Being in Alaska, for me, it came on at 8.
Okay, yeah, then it was 8 o'clock on the East Coast then too, because it was a later time slot. So
yeah, we always get later time slots too. That's crazy.
And so that also did not help its case, but because there's other stuff going on prime time at 8 o'clock. But so they played it safe, and the rating showed it did decent.
Yeah,
it did decent.
For me, I didn't hate season 1 of Black Lightning. Not at all. Hang on 1 second.
Yeah.
For me, I didn't hate season 1 of Black Lightning at all. I agree with you. They played it very safe. I didn't hate it. My only complaint about season 1 was that the progression was very fast. So you had a lot of they introduced to us a lot of characters in one go. Black Lightning, Thunder Lightning, his wife, Tobias. Jill Scott played Lady Eve. That was lit, seeing Jill Scott as a villain, and she played a damn good villain too.
Such a good villain.
Lala, aka Tattoo Man. They gave us Khalil, who ended up being Pain Splitter. So they gave us all Painkiller. My bad, Painkiller. They gave us all of Black Lightning's
and Gamby.
His Alfred. They gave us all of these characters in one go. The ASA, which was a government organization who in the 60s, 70s, and 80s was experimenting on Black children. It was something like the super soldier serum, where the government had created a cocktail that gave superpowers to people, but what they were trying to do was they were trying to experiment first on Black people to see if it was successful, and then move it to white soldiers in the military, so that the government could maximize turn soldiers into weapons. And the government, the ASA, had shut this program down because they were seeing little to no success. Well, Jefferson Pierce happened to be one of those kids who got the vaccine, because ironically it was a vaccine, and he actually developed powers. And they actually, what I liked about Black Lightning season 1 in particular, and they didn't stop doing it, but they did it less throughout the other seasons, was they refer back to certain events in Black history and tied them into. So like the ASA giving the kids the vaccine that would turn them into metahumans, that is a foreshadowing, or however you want to say it, Easter egg for the Tuskegee experiment, when the government gave Black syphilis in the South to see in Tuskegee, Alabama, to see how syphilis would, how the body would react to syphilis. And even after the vaccine for syphilis was found, they left those Black people untreated with syphilis and infected an entire community for generations. The government's still paying out reparations for that. Yeah. So there was they had protests, and they that's another thing I like too. In season 1, they kept up with the time. So Black Lives Matter started getting momentum back when Black Lightning first came out in 20.
They definitely put that in the show, which I loved.
Mm-hmm.
They put in the police brutality in the season.
They did. They made sure episode 1 to address police brutality. And also too, what I liked was the fact that he was a single dad. And he was a successful single dad. He was a present single dad. And he
Yep.
educated his daughters every episode on life lessons while still being able to fight crime. He was a principal of the school. The kids looked up to him. The community looked up to him. So I like the fact that he was a prominent figure.
And he was divorced. Let's not forget that.
Yes, he was
he was
divorced.
married. It just didn't work out and they divorced.
We're gonna hold that. We're gonna hold that to the end.
Yeah. But that's just for season 1. That's all I'm talking about for season 1.
Oh, Lynn. Oh my God. Listen. Oh my God. It is, and the actor, and it's funny because the same actress that played Lynn Pierce played on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. So she she played on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. in season after the
I think it was season 2.
Yeah, it was like season 2 and 3. She was in season 2 and 3 of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. after Hydra took over post Winter Soldier. Post Winter Soldier. That arc. So she was in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and she's a good actress, but
we'll get into that.
What I didn't like about season 1, I didn't mind the pacing of the main villain, Tobias Well. I didn't mind that at all. What I did hate was that DC and CW seem to do this villain of the week thing where they have a villain, they kill him off, and then it's done. And
Jill Scott too soon.
Yeah, Jill Scott. Like if you was gonna kill somebody, you killed Jill Scott.
I thought she was gonna be the big baddie.
Yes.
Honestly, but they got rid of her in what, like episode 3, episode 4?
Yeah, like
right,
real
quick.
Halfway, not even halfway through.
Not even halfway. And I was like, oh.
And the thing is, her character is a big bad for not just Black Lightning, but for Batman and the Outsiders. So it's kind of weird that they killed her off so quickly, given how important her character is to Black Lightning's story arc in as a whole. But it's DC, nobody stays dead, so we'll get back to that. So, and then what I did like about season 1 is they kind of gave it a cheesy, happy ending. Like, unlike Flash and unlike season 1 of Flash, where like Barry like rips open a hole in space-time and causes a black hole and kills Firestorm, and it's like next season. And you're like, what? Like,
yeah, it's like they actually gave a black man a happy ending. Just end the season on a happy note.
And I like that, but I didn't because it's DC. Like, as much as I wanted to see a black superhero win, it's DC. So it was like, I don't know, dog. Like, I was okay with it, but I was like, but also too, they didn't know if they were going to renew Black Lightning.
Exactly. So they had to leave it open like that.
So them wrapping it was,
ratings. Ratings is such a killer, and I wish they would figure out a way to do testing for ratings better, because no one, let's be real, it is 2021. Who's actually had live television?
Right.
Cable. Like, yes, technically on certain, like if you get a TV antenna, you can pick it up with a TV antenna, but still, who's watching television live nowadays?
Facts. And that's why Constantine's show, which was amazing, got canceled, because NBC had it at 10 o'clock at night, East Coast time on a Friday.
10 o'clock on a Friday.
Yeah. We're either at the club or sleep.
Right. It's a Friday night. And it's like, listen, that is peak high school football going on for varsity. That is when college students are out and about doing stuff. That is when families are having like family time.
Or sleep. Yeah, you either sleep at the club, at an event, or at work. Like, who's like, and I would catch Constantine next day on Hulu, and that's when they had their biggest ratings, was like Saturday morning, Sunday.
I was still living at home, so I had the DVR, so they got the DVR ratings for me.
So, they canceled Constantine because of that, but that's another reason why I feel like Black Lightning is getting canceled, because it comes on so late. And what CW did was, for those of you guys who don't watch CW and you guys catch Black Lightning on other platforms, what CW does is they have Black Lightning, so they're like, oh, this is a black show. So what they did was they put All American, another black show, right before it. Yeah, and I'm just like, so what is this, like the African American block? Like, what?
Is this y'all old UPN coming back? Because they used to be. Oh, they absorbed UPN.
Yeah. So it's like, what is this, like the 2-hour African, like the 2-hour African American power play, like All American Black Lightning? And I thought that was like super corny of them. But I was like, you know what? I'll accept it.
And during Black History Month.
Yeah, and that was funny. That was mega funny to me, and they still do it. It's All American, even this season. It's All American and then Black Lightning, and it's like, well, you're gonna watch one black show, you might as well watch another.
And the season started in February.
Right? So both All American and Black Lightning started in February. I guess CW was trying real hard,
Listen,
and
if they would have put Batwoman in that 3 hour slot, I would have been like, listen, y'all.
I would have yeah, if it was All American, Black Lightning, and Batwoman, then okay, because Batwoman being on Sunday, nobody watched it when it was Ruby Rose. They for damn sure not gonna watch it for Javicia. But that's another that's another episode. That's another episode. So season 2 of Black Lightning. Season 2 of Black Lightning, his daughters get their powers. And I was okay with that because I'd read the comic book. I know they get their powers. I'd watched Outsiders, the cartoon, the DC Comics cartoon. I know they get their powers. My gripe with season
Young Justice?
Young Justice. Oh, boom. Young Justice.
Young Justice. Like they never animated Outsiders.
Yeah, Young Justice. Well, I'd read Outsiders. And I watched Young Justice. I know they get their powers. What I didn't like was what ended up happening in Black Lightning was something that like Black people started disagreeing with Black Lightning because CW writes their teenagers all the same with no consideration of culture or upbringing. So the same shit that the white kids get away with on CW, they tried to tailor those to the black kids, and we were like, nah, the back talk, the disrespect, the I'm going to my room, fuck you, dad, you can't tell me nothing. That was the same attitude they tried to portray to Jefferson's kids. The problem was Jefferson's kids were way more responsible. They were way more mature than their peer group. So for them to backslide into like bratty teenagers, especially when one was like in med school, and was a teacher, and the other one was in like ninth grade,
sophomore, junior,
something like that. It's like, why are they acting? You know what I mean? Like it made no sense. The character of Nessa, the older sister, her character started off super mature, super responsible, and then as season 2 and 3 progressed, her character backslid into a more reckless, lawless, disrespectful character. And she's like 23.
I'm gonna go with 20 between 22 and 24 just because she's in high school.
She's like grown.
And I always say that age range because let's be real, with her dad as Jefferson, I'm pretty sure she was probably in like the honors classes in college, in just undergrad, and probably got to bypass half those credits and graduated early. That's just what I'm thinking, just knowing off of what we know about them. So that's why I say she's probably like an early age med school.
And then Nessa and then Jen, the youngest daughter, like smoking weed, running away from home, hiding out with boys, and they never questioned it. They were like, they would like the whole family would get into an argument, and I'm like, y'all do know y'all's youngest child is like being chased by the police right now because she was caught up with Khalil's stupid ass, who, after getting injured, decided he was going to be a bad boy because he sided with Tobias, gave him the ability to walk again, and he decided he was going to be a bad boy. And so it was like Jen went missing for like 2 episodes before they realized she was missing.
Especially for a family that always keeps tabs on one another. Because season 1, you knew they all communicated. They always let each other it made no sense in season 2 that nobody knew where anyone was.
Right. It's like the values of the family, for what you saw in season 1, started to backslide season 2 and onward. And so and it didn't make, you're right, it didn't make sense because it's like, why is it that you guys start losing? Like, you started off good, and I get that it's, you want to make the show a little more edgy, you want to push plot points, but you could have done that without actually without sacrificing the characters' morals and their ethics and their values. The daughters once they got their powers, they got reckless, which would have been fine because Thunder can harden her body and lightning is dumb powerful. The problem is
the essence of energy itself.
Yeah, like the problem is in season 2, Thunder got her powers, and season 3, Lightning got her powers. And so it's like, it's weird because there was no life lesson. They were just reckless for no reason. And then, you have Jefferson trying to tell his daughters, look, man, I've been a superhero for a long time. You guys need to listen to me. Fuck you, Dad. I do what I want. It's like,
we know what we're doing.
Yeah, like, you just got out of med school. What do you mean? And that's another thing too. They dropped that, actually. They dropped like starting season 2, you kind of forget that Nessa is a med school student or a med school grad. And you forget Jen is in high school because they take them out of...
No. You still know Jen is in high school because they still keep going back to the damn high school.
But she ain't never in school. She ain't never in school.
Yeah, she is. Yeah, she is. She's just skipping. You see her skipping. That's what it is.
Like, and that's the thing. Your dad is the principal. You don't know where you at. Like, ain't nobody saying, "Hey, man, your daughter not here."
Especially since she was called the queen of the school. Like,
Facts, because her dad was the principal. It's like y'all don't notice that this little girl's not here. So like I had an issue with that. Season 2, Tobias really kicked it up as a villain, and I like that.
and that's why I liked it. That's why I
Yeah,
liked it.
Tobias is that, like, listen, like, it's the fact that the villains of the CW don't get to form an Injustice League. Tobias, Reverse Flash,
Bro,
like,
if
yeah, like Lex
Tobias,
Luthor, yeah,
Reverse Flash, Lana Luthor, Lena
yes,
Luthor, sorry. Yeah.
like that, like, yeah, that would be like
Damien Dark.
Damien Dark, yeah, like, well, no, yeah, no,
Damien was both in Arrow first and then in Legends.
and then in Legends, yeah,
Killed him.
and then who, like, Arrow's villains are gone, not really, but like he's gone.
The dude that was the last villain for Arrow, the Latino dude.
He died too. The dragon.
Yeah.
I can't think of his name right
he was
now.
that he made the last 2 seasons tolerable.
Yeah,
honestly.
yeah, and that's the thing,
because he was a great villain. If all of them could have combined together to make their own Injustice League,
that would, oh my god, that would have been amazing. That would have been amazing. Like, that's what we were missing, was like an Injustice League. Like, and
like,
we had
that should have been a crossover event, man. Like,
for sure.
I mean, I love Crisis, but like, if all of them had one extra season, that should have been like the next crossover, like just a giant, like, just even like a 5-episode Injustice thing, just because now all the universes are together in one.
Yeah,
now.
and so Tobias, a good villain. Lala became a good villain, or anti-hero in a weird way. Like,
he's like an anti-villain, because like,
yeah,
he's like an anti-villain, but he does his own things.
And then Khalil became Painkiller, and the ASA showed back up after season 1. They showed back up with Agent Odell. And Agent Odell was that dude. Agent Odell was just as bad as just as bad. He was a
great character, because you know how he's a great character, because anytime I saw him on screen, I was ready to just punch him in the face. Like,
oh my god, yes.
Like, that's how you know that's a good character, a well-written character, is as soon as they pop up, you're like, why is this bitch here? Get out my face.
What's the actor that plays him? Because he's a legend. He's a legendary black villain.
Yes,
legendary
he's always
black
a villain, and that's how when I saw him, I was like, of course, I didn't even have to say him. He's like the villain. Well, he's kind of like an anti-villain too himself, because like ASA is like its own thing. But I was just like, this dude, he's in here. I'm like, oh no, time to get ready for some bull he's about to pull in this show, and he pulled out all of the bull.
But Agent Odell was the guy that the government, after Black Lightning defeated the ASA in season 1, Agent Odell was the dude that came through and recruited Black Lightning to help him he was spying on Black Lightning the whole season. Mm-hmm. And he was spying on Black Lightning the whole season because the Markovians, made-up country in DC Comics, was trafficking metahumans. And they were trying to take the metahumans. They found out about the government ASA experiments in Freeland, and were trying to recruit Freeland's metahumans. And he shows up at the end of season 2, predominantly the end of season 2,
to take them away,
to take Black Lightning's family into protective custody, so that Black Lightning could then be used as a ploy to flesh out the Markovians. And this was also the season where Jen, finally accepting that she has powers, gets a suit and defeats Tobias for hurting Khalil. And what pissed me off was Black Lightning's been trying to defeat Tobias for like what?
All 2 seasons.
1,000 years, even before that. Because Black Lightning was Black Lightning for 10 years. Then he quit for 18 years because his wife left him, and he barely beat Tobias.
And he had the kids, and he's like, I got to protect my kids.
Yeah, so he stopped being Black Lightning for 18 years and came back to being Black Lightning. So he'd been fighting Tobias for like 30 years. And Jen shows up in her makeshift suit that wasn't even complete and beats his ass. And I'm just like, yo, like, if it was that easy, why did we have to go through this many seasons or episodes? Y'all could have just beat Tobias.
It's because she's young and fresh. That's
no shut. Yes, Tobias can't age. He can't die, and she just shows up.
Reason. She's literally pure energy.
Bro,
she's pure energy.
She shocked him a little bit. She shocked him
And
a little bit.
what is electricity? Electricity is energy.
Because why couldn't Black Lightning have that same, like, I was not feeling it. I was pissed. I was like, are you serious right now?
It's just plot device, man. It's just plot device.
Because it was supposed to set up the next season by beating Black Lightning and getting him out the way, but it was stupid. Bill Duke is the one that plays Odell, and Bill Duke has been all over the place. If you guys don't know Bill Duke by name, you guys should go check him out. He's a legendary Black actor, and he definitely plays the villain. I usually see him.
9 out of 10, about like 8 out of 10 times he's normally the
Fun
villain.
fact: Odell was born in the character Odell was born in Gotham.
Of course he was.
Of
course
his shady character makes so much sense. Apparently, according to his bio, he was born in Gotham City, and at some point he marched with Dr. King, according to DC Comics. And then he started working for the ASA and experimenting on Black people. So he went from a civil rights activist to a fuck my people, just like Tobias. But so the wrap up for season 2 was Odell walks into Black Lightning's house and is like, yo, I need you guys to help me with the Markovians. This is the same plot from Young Justice, by the way. So if this Markovian plot sounds familiar, it's because they did the exact same plot on Young Justice.
It was from Young Justice season 2, Invasion.
Yep. Same exact plot.
But done better, in my opinion.
In Young Justice or in Lightning?
Black Lightning. Because
you think so?
Listen, I hated Invasion with a passion.
But the Markovian arc was listen, you think they did it better in Black Lightning with less heroes and less like?
Yes, because the plot was more fleshed out. The Invasion.
You think so?
Yeah, Invasion had so much potential, but they kept trying to put so many different plots in Invasion.
Yeah, it was a lot of plots.
There was too many plots all over the place. Whereas with Black Lightning, it was, we're covering the invasion where the invasion is about getting meta human trafficking, and that's what I liked. It had a clear cut. That's it. They weren't trying to do any other side stories. That was the main focus.
But we'll jump into season 3 at this point.
Yes.
I didn't like that, and I'm gonna tell you why.
I mean, season 3 was
trash. Season 3 was trash up until a certain point. But it was like, okay, so Black Lightning
showed up, you mean?
Listen. So when so season 3 starts and Lynn, Black Lightning's ex-wife, let's make that clear.
Still ex-wife, yes, y'all.
Still ex-wife, yes. But
don't
ex-wife.
Let their intimacy in 1 and 2.
They are fuck buddies in season 1 and 2. Listen,
and their kids even notice it.
That's a whole section. I can't wait. Like, I can't wait. Oh my god, I'm about to go in.
Kids are like, y'all back together, and they're both like,
but like she's working for the ASA, trying to awaken. So it was discovered in season 2 by Tobias and by Tobias and Gamby that there were metahumans in pods from the like way back when Jefferson was the original
experiment.
Yeah, and so the ASA is trying to get these kids out of the pods and stabilize them so that they can be used as weapons against the Markovians.
Because that's all what they're used for. That's your stereotypical plot. Oh, human weapons. That's standard comic book plot.
So, Jefferson is one of the few people to stabilize on their own. Everyone else would have died, so they froze what subjects they could. Well, Odell wanted those kids freed and stabilized, and Lynn, along with another mad scientist, is able to do so. And so the Markovian plot to me gets weird because at one point you're like, okay, so Jefferson is just going along with these government experiments as a ploy to get on the government's good side so he can take out the Markovians. But then Odell has Lightning doing raid strikes on Markovian sites in Freeland. But then you're like, when did the Markovians get to Freeland? Because they never showed that.
And then it's like they put all of Freeland in lockdown. It's like they never really showed that either.
Yeah, like Black Lightning just finds out that Freeland's on lockdown. Black Lightning and his family just find out Freeland's on lockdown, but they never showed them being put on lockdown. They're like, oh, we're putting y'all on lockdown because of the Markovian threat, but there is no Markovians. Then the Markovians show up for one episode. And then they disappear, and you're like, "What just happened?"
It's like that. That's it.
Yeah, and then and Black Lightning beats up like 10 of them, and that's supposed to be the Markovian army, and then that's it. And Black Lightning's like, "Well, now I got to free Freeland from Odell because Odell has control of Freeland." Because now all of a sudden Odell wants to take the metahumans for himself, which we kind of saw coming. but it
Right.
was like Pika, because it wasn't like a clear plot. It was just like now Odell wants to take the metahumans. And so you had to so Black Lightning was trying to find a way to observe Odell, and with Henderson and Painkiller and Odell was experimenting on Tobias, trying to extract Tobias's DNA to get the formula that Tobias used to work.
Making his power, his immunity, that wow word vomit,
Yeah.
invulnerability and immortality was going defunct because you saw him age rapidly, and it
Yeah.
was hysterical.
Now, keep in mind, we left out a point, but all of this was fueled by a drug called Green Light. And Green Light started being sold in season 1, and you saw it more prevalent in season 2. Green Light was an addictive drug that was fueled by the government, the ASA's experiments. So, the Green Light babies were starting to pop up from kids doing drugs laced with Green Light, which was the ASA compound that made them all superheroes. So random superheroes were popping up because kids would get high off Green Light, and then kids would become addicted to Green Light, which would ramp up their powers and cause like metahumans to pop up, but like not only a surge of metahumans, but also it was causing a problem because these kids were unstable. So what would happen was they get a power, and then they would literally explode and die.
Yeah, the power would get it would overwhelm their bodies so much they would literally die from whatever was making them powerful.
And Odell was capturing in season 3. This was season 2. This was season 1, season 2, to the end of season 2, and then season 3. And Black Lightning was trying to combat Green Light, while at the same time, which was being sold by Lala, because it was being sold by
the 100. It was all
the 100, which Tobias was in charge of, but Lala took over that when Tobias got captured by the ASA. So Black Lightning stopped working for the ASA to try and combat Green Light. That was kind of random though, because you didn't know where Green Light came from until all of a sudden. The ASA was experimenting on Green Light to try and make it a drug that stabilized and gave powers. And Tobias and Odell ended up getting Lynn hooked on Green Light. So Lynn became the CW stereotypical ex-wife junkie, just like they did Joe West. In her so to keep her working for him, Odell got Lynn addicted to Green Light so that she would keep experimenting with it to try and find a way to stabilize metahumans.
And the funny part was he kept lacing her stuff with it, and she didn't realize it till like halfway through the first half of the season.
And he kept putting up subliminal messages about her taking Green Light. Like there would be a flash on the screen that would say Green Light or take Green Light, or like, you know what I mean? And like he showed that. And I was like,
she didn't know until like he finally pointed it out to her, and she's like, oh, okay. And I'm just like, really?
But that's the thing. So the crazy thing about that is, right? So there's a scene in Black Lightning where Black Lightning goes home and Lynn is home because they let them go home. And so Black Lightning had just finished being Black Lightning. He had I think it was that same episode where he goes to the school and the police assault him as the principal. Yes. Then he gets fired as the principal and a white man takes over, which was so random because I was like,
that's like, okay, that's a whole other thing. That's a whole other
I was like, why do they need like, oh, well, Jefferson, you're never in the school and the kids are always in danger, but that ain't got nothing to do with Jefferson. Like the kids being in danger, that had nothing to do with Jefferson. So that was like a weird, like they were trying to
hold that thought. We'll come back to that. Let's finish the Lynn thing.
So Jefferson goes out in this Black Lightning, and this is when I knew the show was going downhill. Fuck everything else I just said. Jefferson comes home after being Black Lightning. He had to stop a crime. He comes home as Jefferson because I don't know, his suit change game is like 5 seconds or some shit. And Lynn is taking Green Light in the bathroom of the house. So he confronts her, not even going crazy on her. He's like, yo, what are you doing? What's that? Is that Green Light? Why are you taking it? What happened? What's going on? She doesn't want to give up the Green Light. She's looking like Gollum from Lord of the Rings.
Go on, my Green Light. I need it. I need it.
And he takes it from her, and she slaps the dog shit out of him.
Like, and then runs on, like slap. You heard that slap. It was a slap heard around the world, mind you.
Slaps the dog shit out of him, and then takes the green light from him and runs off. And so in that
He just
same,
said he sat there dumbfounded. Me,
yeah.
I would have been dumbfounded too. I'd be like, did she just? Did I
And in that,
just?
and then the next scene, in the very next scene, this is how I knew. This is how I knew. In the next scene, he's Black Lightning again because he heard from Gamby that Lightning, who's now Blackbird, because I don't know why she needed to switch. Like she needed to switch her character identity because they were on
She's
to the government was looking for Lightning, so well, looking for Thunder, excuse me. So she became Blackbird with the same powers. Like anyway,
because you know
so
what
like
makes
that
sense.
was I was like, what? So he goes to Blackbird, or I think she was Thunder this time. I don't know.
He
Anyway,
goes to Nessa.
he goes to Nessa, and Nessa's holding a meeting about how they're gonna free the green light kids from the ASA compound. And Black Lightning all he does is walk up. He don't say shit to her. And she's like, listen, listen, Black Lightning. This is my operation. You're gonna do what the fuck I tell you to do, and this is how we're gonna do it. You understand? I'm like, are you talking to your father like that, ma'am? The man that raised
It's
you
like,
for 18
ma'am,
years after your mom walked out on all of y'all because he was Black Lightning?
right? Like,
Are you really
ma'am,
talking to the man
like I
who
know you're
saved?
trying to. Right, it's like I know you're trying to let people know that's not your dad, but still, you know that's your dad.
Nah,
Like,
super
ma'am,
disrespectful.
you
Super
can't do
disrespectful.
that.
And he pulls her aside, and instead of saying, "Hey, I caught your mom a green light," she cusses him out again. And I'm like, "Yo, what the fuck? Why is my man's getting on?" And you know what I
Right.
hated the most about that? What I hated the most about that as a black man is that he tolerated all that disrespect. And I know it's like, no, I'm gonna say it because I
No,
know it's
say it,
not.
say
I
it,
know it's
say
not
it.
sexist. As a man, right? As a person, fuck a gender. As a person, he took all that disrespect and didn't say shit to nobody.
Right.
And on the
If
one
it was
hand,
me, I swear to God,
y'all
let
got me fucked up. All y'all
someone.
got me fucked
Y'all,
up.
they do. They got me. They got me so
And
fucked up.
not only that, but they still, for the fifth episode in a row at that point, didn't know where Jennifer was.
She,
She had killed like a dozen people at that point. By that time,
yeah.
Jennifer had killed a dozen people, and they never knew where the fuck she
No,
was.
and nobody cared to know where Jen was.
She was doing air raids for Odell because Odell made her think he was the black savior. She had killed like so many Markovians, and that was the Markovian plot, was Jen doing air raids on Markovian bases, and you never saw Markovians. And so
Right.
it was like Jen was a murderer, his ex-wife was a junkie, and his daughter had lost her goddamn mind. And I was like,
And I
so
was
this is
like,
the end of this show.
that's how I was just like, this is not black anymore. Because I was like, listen, season 2 was already starting not to be black, as in black culture, but this I
Yeah,
was just like, no, ain't
this
no
is
way.
ain't no way.
I was
Ain't
like,
no way.
there's no black writers on this now. I know for a fact because none of this would happen if
But
this was real.
it's the fact that they
Like,
made Lynn like the stereotype, like that you can't have two black people in love in the Arrowverse without one of them being a junkie. You can't, and
right.
I don't
You can't.
understand that. I
I
don't
don't.
understand that because they did the same thing to Joe, and I'm like, why did y'all think
Yeah.
it was very disrespectful? Like we can't have black love, and even if we have black love, two people can't just disagree and walk away. Like, why does it have to be an extra like stereotypical trope to it? And that's what I hated the most. That's what I hated the absolute most was the way they did Lynn out the gate and the way they did Jen and Nessa. And
Yep.
so Nessa became increasingly more violent, increasingly more irrational. Jennifer the same, Lynn the same, and Black Lightning was the only dude besides Gamby who had any fucking sense,
And Henderson.
and Henderson. And I hated that because all you have a show full of black women, show
And
full of
they're
black
all
women,
smart. They're all
all of them
smart.
super intelligent, but all of them are like the assistant principal in season 1 turned out to be a villain, black woman.
Yep.
Lynn turned out to be a junkie.
Mm-hmm.
Nessa and Jennifer have lost their goddamn minds, even into season 4. Like, and I hate it because you're taking these powerful, these beautiful, these intelligent, these amazing black women characters, these black female characters, and you're making them look terrible.
Exactly.
And
But
your guys is, oh, but they're smart and they have superpowers.
and
It's
you're
not
just letting
enough.
the guys just be pushovers. Like,
Yeah, and like there's no like on Black Lightning, Jefferson is what I liked about Black Lightning is Jefferson is very intelligent, he's very smart, he's skilled, he's experienced, etc., etc., etc. But Jefferson will always sacrifice his strength, so to speak,
Mm-hmm.
for his submission to these terrible characters.
And it's awful.
And that's my problem. It's not even about like, well, he's a black man submitting to a black woman. No, that's
It's
not
like,
what I'm
no,
saying.
there's a difference for there is a difference for a black man submitting to a black woman. That is with compromise usually. This is literally him getting walked all over.
Literally walked all over. And that's the thing, is like, we didn't get that from Joe. I will say we got it from Diggle when it came to Oliver, but we didn't too much get that from Joe. But what I hated was that Joe was and I stand by this, Joe was the only real strong black character in the entire Arrowverse.
Mm-hmm. No, I agree.
Everybody else was walked on by in some way, shape, or form. And what I hate about Black Lightning is the fact that no matter what, like, okay, Flash, right?
Mm-hmm.
Barry's dad died and he fucked up the time stream. He had
Multiple
2 seasons
times.
to grieve. You know what I mean? Like when Oliver lost his mom, when Deathstroke came through and killed that man's mom.
Oh, I felt that in my
Woo!
soul that
That was
episode. I was just like,
woo,
oh,
woo.
ooh.
Deathstroke killed his
Like
Oliver
that
had
hurt me.
I,
That
I
hurt
felt that. I
me.
felt that. Like when he killed, like when Deathstroke came through and killed Oliver's mom, like you saw the impact that had on the character for the next 2 seasons. Black Lightning, his dad died, and that motivated him to become Black Lightning. Yeah. But, and his mom had died.
Yeah.
As well. Like, but before all that, his mom died. But, he lost 2 of his parents. His wife left him. And you don't get to see
Inkling of that.
No, you know what? Let's wrap up the seasons and come back, because we gonna have like that's so. Yeah. Let's wrap up the season and come back to that. So Wayne, because I know whoever's listening is like, no, wait, what? No, we'll put a pin in it.
We'll touch back.
So the best part of season 3 was when Wayne Brady had to slap a bitch.
Oh,
Wayne Brady came through out of nowhere.
Arguably, that's when the season finally picked up.
Wayne Brady,
because that got so much. It was like a whole new writing team came in. It was like, somebody in that writing team was like, this season's awful. We need to make sure when we introduce Wayne Brady, we have to keep a good momentum. And they did.
But it was so random because you don't see you don't see Markovians forever. Then literally, and I'm not making this up, literally in the middle of an episode, all of a sudden Odell is in a warehouse with ASA agents and Markovians just show up. Like there's no segue into this. There's just Odell and ASA versus Markovians, and they shoot, and the Markovians shoot and kill everybody. And Odell gets shot, and he gets shot and injured, and he disappears for like 4 episodes. I can't make this. It's wild. It's like, where did Odell
literally
go?
What happens.
And so, like, you don't hear about Odell for 4 episodes. He's just gone. And Wayne Brady shows up as the head of the Markovians, and it turns out that Wayne Brady's character Gravedigger, who is actually from the DC Comics comic for the what's that? Oh man, no, don't do it to me. His character originated in a DC comic about a army unit led by, I think his name is Sergeant Rock. I can't remember the name, but in World War II. Right? Yeah, in World War II, it was an army unit, and his character was actually a good guy. They made him a bad guy for Black Lightning. I'm gonna have to look it up, but they made him a bad guy for Black Lightning. But Wayne Brady turns out to be Black Lightning's, was it great? It's like uncle, like great uncle or something like that. Like they're directly related.
It was they're missing great uncle, I believe.
Yeah, they're missing. Yeah, and so he's Gravedigger's part of the Men of War comics in DC that took place in World War II, and then eventually and like he gets experimented on. He gets captured by the Markovians and gets experimented on because of metahuman, but he's still a good guy. But they make him a bad guy for Black Lightning. And so, but yeah, Wayne Brady just shows up as like the main villain. He's like, oh, I'm the big bad all along. And you're like, what? But he makes up for it because the moment he shows up, he beats the fuck out of Black Lightning. He's like, yo.
Right. So he's like, I don't care that you're my family.
because they find out that is his family. Black Lightning somehow finds out through ASA files that that's his family, and it's Black Lightning. It's the half brother of Black Lightning's grandfather. So yeah, it's his great uncle, and he just and you know, Black Lightning steps to him like, hey man, we're family, we're supposed to be on the same side, you know, you can help me take these guys down. And Wayne Brady was like, do I have to slap a bitch? And when I tell you, he beat the
Hearing that
brakes,
line and see him beat,
he beat the fuck out of Black Lightning, he
like,
beat the
I
fuck out
never
of
thought I could
Thunder,
actually see.
he beat
I
the
never
fuck
thought
out
I
of
could see Wayne
Lightning,
Brady be a good villain, like
he
actual
beat
villain.
the shit out of them. Like there was no, like there was, listen, season 3, just skip to the Wayne Brady's first
Just,
appearance.
just figure out where they were great.
It's
Find the
like
episode
episode
where
6 or
Gravedigger
7.
shows
Just
up,
skip, yeah, just
and
skip
then
to
just
6 or
watch from
7.
there.
He beats the shot, and he is such, and his character was experimented on very heavily, and he has multiple powers. He has like mind control, super strength.
Mm-hmm.
It's ridiculous how many powers he has. And so they finally beat Gravedigger by blowing him up. They have to
I
blow
kid
him
you
up.
not. They literally had to put a bomb on this man.
Yeah, they literally had to blow him up to kill him, because even at the end, toward the end of the season, Black Lightning takes all the metahumans that he knows. Thunder, Lightning, Thunder's girlfriend, who's a shapeshifter, some of the ASA green light kids, and he forms the Outsiders. And they storm the ASA base that had been taken over by the Markovians and Gravedigger, and they get their asses beat. And Khalil is Painkiller, who had been reincarnated and reprogrammed as a ultimate assassin.
Killer, yeah.
He gets his ass beat. Thunder gets her ass beat. Lightning, like he just Gravedigger lays waste to that whole squad. It was like a 7-man team, and he beats all of them. And the only
effortlessly.
And the only reason why Black Lightning survived is because Lynn was able to
inject herself with the drug with his abilities.
Yeah, inject
genome abilities into it.
Yeah, inject herself with his mind control abilities long enough to mind control him, just so she could stop his movements long enough for them to put a bomb on him, so Black Lightning can fly out and blow up the ASA building with him in it. And he still gets out. He still survives because he has shape-shifting abilities. So, and at the end of Black Lightning, at the end of Black Lightning, they have the state that Freeland is in holds like a court case against the ASA, and Black Lightning and Lynn and Thunder and Lightning give their testimony about what happened, and they shut down, the government shuts down the ASA and their presence in Freeland. But apparently Gravedigger made it out, because you see them walk past some character after they leave the courthouse, and that character ends up shapeshifting into Gravedigger. So I'm like, crazy. That's why. Like Wayne Brady just came through and laid waste.
I'm ready to see what they do with him in season 4.
And he's coming back, because it's the last season. He's got to come back. And season 4 starts off pretty much the same way that every Black Lightning season does after season 1. It's rushed. It's rushed. They throw a bunch of plot points at you that they're gonna like pick. The problem with Black Lightning is that they have a lot of plot points that they'll pick up and then put back down. And that's what I hate. They'll be like, oh, well, this like the Markovians and Odell, and like Odell ends up getting killed by he ends up getting paralyzed permanently by Painkiller.
Yep.
Because Painkiller wanted revenge on him for experimenting on him. The thing is, though, like after Wayne Brady showed up, Odell disappeared for like a grip of episodes, and then he comes back randomly, sporadically throughout the season until Painkiller catches up with him in the end. And it's kind of like corny, because you keep forgetting Odell is a threat, because Wayne Brady just comes through and like lays waste to the whole like Wayne Brady lays waste to the whole city. You forget that Tobias is still a thing. Tobias ends up getting freed by Lynn.
Well, to be fair, Tobias wasn't even a threat at that point, because he wasn't even a threat.
Like, but he became a threat when he convinced Lynn to free him so that he can provide her more green light. So he becomes a threat late. He's gonna become a threat this season for sure. But he knows the real identities of the Black Lightning family. He's fueling Lynn's addiction to green light. but you forget all that because of Wayne Brady. You forget about Odell and the Markovians because of Wayne Brady. And after the Crisis crossover and everybody's in one universe, you think that Black Lightning would have help with the Markovians from another hero, but no.
No.
Because they had to stop. They had to stop this season midway to push Crisis on Infinite Earths. So you lose track of what's going on because of Crisis.
Yeah.
And then
by
the time you get back
that
to
whole
it, you're like,
Crisis
what?
episode was just Jen having internalized struggles and her seeing 3 different alternate realities of herself. Like,
right. And then Black Lightning gets pulled into the Crisis situation after his Earth is destroyed, and then he dies like 10 minutes after he shows up. I was like, so you just brought this man on to die after giving the legendary head nod? Like he helps Barry delay the anti-monitor long enough for him to die. And I was like, he died and showed up in the same episode. That's corny. Like, what was the point in that? So, and then they started back his Markovian arc up with Wayne Brady. It was just so weird. Like,
it's just like nothing was wrong. Nobody cared that a blip happened. Like,
yeah,
it's like we got to go back to the main point.
And that's the thing too, like Black Lightning, the writers do that. After season 1, they would pick up plot points, drop them, and then pick them back up later, and you lose track of the show and its pacing because you have to go back 3, 4. It's not like 1 or 2 episodes. Like, oh, we're gonna pick this back up next episode, or we're gonna like have a filler episode.
Like, no, remember it's episode 6, but remember that thing that happened in episode 2?
Yeah, you're like, what?
That got referenced briefly in the season before and episode 5.
Yeah, you're like, what? Like, when did y'all mention this? Episode 3 of season 1. Like, that's how Black Lightning is.
It's like you're trying to connect the dots of like, okay, when did I remember seeing this? Let me put a dot here, connect this line there, to connect this, and it's so much.
It's not organized, and it's very confusing. It's hard to watch unless you binge it because you don't know what's going on until you have all the episodes, and you have to wait a week to get every episode. So, and the time that it takes them to wrap up a single plot point, you've waited 3-4 weeks to wrap up one plot point. And so at that point, you don't watch Flash, you don't watch Supergirl, you don't watch whatever you was watching just to come back to Black Lightning and be like, what's going on right now?
What happened again?
And and that's and going back to my initial point, Black Lightning sucks for me because I hate watching Black Lightning go out the way he does. He's a strong black male character means everything for me, right? Same. And so seeing him get pushed, seeing him become a doormat for all these characters, it really hurts because there's no reason there's no logic. It's like, we can't have a strong black male character as lead. They won't give it to us. Joe is strong, and I appreciate that. But when you have an entire and I will say this, Martian Manhunter has his moments as well. Martian Manhunter and Supergirl does have his moments, but they're supporting characters. So the support is supposed to be there. It's implied. Yep. You know what I mean? But for Black Lightning to be a main character and a black man, and for him to go out the way he does with every episode, he doesn't get to experience trauma. He doesn't get to experience PTSD, not in a way that would show growth and character development, or that would show the audience that this is the normal thing, but it's healthy to find help. Like, Black Lightning will go through PTSD, and Lynn will be like, "Shut up and get over it, nigga." Like,
and that's like, and this brings us to fucking the season opener, where all of this is literally shoved in your face in the first 10 minutes.
In the first,
dead ass, the first 10 minutes. Like,
they just shove all the bullshit at once. Like,
I will commend them for showing a black couple going to couples counseling together. I will commend that. And I'm glad that they showed them having a black female counselor to help them. But me watching this therapy session they had together, I'm like, it literally shoved in your face that Jefferson is not having time to heal and go through all these emotions.
Nor does he have a support system that will let him. Lynn showed up and was like, "Well, you're not intimate with me and you don't talk to me." And I'm like, "Bitch, listen."
And it's like, and me watching this, I'm looking at the therapist, I'm just like, the only thing she had to say was, "How's your guys' intimacy?" Well, intimacy, you have to have trust. And if there's no trust, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, that's all you got to say?
Yeah,
if I was a therapist, I would be like, "Lynn, do you not listen to what Jefferson is saying?
Right.
He's I'm not I will have to make this note. I am not a therapist. I'm not a psychologist. I have no background in the degree of psychology and all that. I cannot say this, but me as an outsider that knows empathy and
Right.
understanding characters, this therapist did not do their job.
And that's the thing. And at the end of the episode, out of random nowhere, with no lead up, no scenes that justified this, all of a sudden Lynn was like, "Oh, Jefferson, I understand how you feel and I apologize for not being there for you and I just want you to come to bed." So you want some dick, and that's what got you apologetic and sympathetic. Get the fuck out of
Yeah.
here.
Like fuck out of here.
Fuck out of here. And that's and like Nessa is still reckless. Jen is still reckless.
She's still going nowhere. The first episode, everybody's like, "Where's Jen?" And they're like,
Yeah,
"Oh,
that's the first time in 3 seasons they asked that.
They're like, "Where's Jen?" Like, "Oh, she's out flying." And he's like, "What do you mean she's out flying again?" And I'm just like,
y'all ain't gonna go look for her. Like, like no, she ain't got no comms, like no comm device. Like that's what I'm saying. It's like, and then like Jen and Nessa are reckless to the point where Jen gets shot.
yeah. And
because
Jefferson
they become
again is the
predictable.
only one. They'll be like, "Why are y'all doing this? You
Right.
shouldn't have done this.
But
Why didn't know?"
And you can tell Jefferson's tired of this shit. But like, it's just the fact that they were like, "Oh, well, we're gonna have him grieve Henderson and deal with his lack of it's his." I don't even know what to call them because they're not married. They're divorced. And even Tobias calls her a divorcee in that episode. They're not together. They just fucking. Like that's what they're just fucking.
Which again makes no sense why they're in couples therapy together.
Right. But even then, it's like my problem with Lynn, right? And for those who don't understand, like, why do you hate Lynn so much? In this iteration,
awful.
Yes, in this iteration of Black Lightning, Jefferson has his powers and has had his powers since he was a child. Gamby was working with the ASA. Gamby gave Jefferson his powers, then felt bad because he saw what it was doing to the other kids and realized that Jefferson is the outlier. So he became friends with Jefferson's dad so that he could look after Jefferson. When Jefferson's dad was killed by Tobias, he took Jefferson in and trained him to control his powers. Jefferson then grew up to become Black Lightning because Tobias had taken over Freeland. Well, Jefferson in that time frame of being Black Lightning met Lynn and they started dating and they got married and they had kids. Lynn found out he was Black Lightning and she tolerated it at first, but then she was like, but then the city started getting bad, worse even because of Tobias. And he was like, I have to take Tobias down. He's going to destroy the city. And she was like, well, if you go out there, I'm leaving you. And he was like, well, I guess I'm going to go out there. And because if he didn't, yeah, Tobias was literally destroying the city. So he leaves, he comes back within an inch of his life. And Lynn is like, and by this time, Nessa is like, what, 5 or 6?
Something and like that.
Yeah, which would put her at 24 in season 1. So, because it's 18 years later. So, Lynn nurses him, being a doctor, nurses Jefferson back to health just long enough for her to literally leave him. She walks out on him, Nessa, and Jennifer for 18 years. Just is gone.
Which is weird because normally, if traditionally, at least in my experience of knowing people who walk out of lives, especially if it's a mother, they usually take the kids with them.
Right. So she leaves the kids like, oh, you're a superhero. You could be threatening the house's safety, but you leave the kids with him.
Right. You leave these kids knowing damn well he's going to be leaving them alone to save the world. Like,
look, if you want to be a hoe, just say that.
parents would be like, listen, I'm taking the kids because they're in danger because you're
right.
a superhero. Like, but no, she's like, I'm leaving them with you and I'm gone. Like,
look, if you just wanted to be if you just want to go be a hoe, just say that. Like, like just say that. Like, and that's the thing is like she leaves for 18 years, and in episode 1, she shows back up at a school dance that he's chaperoning as the principal, and he's like head over heels. And I'm like, first of all, Freeland is a suburb of Atlanta. Wasn't no Atlanta pussy you could have jumped into. Like, you wilding right now. And 2, she comes back and she's like, well, I still hate you for being Black Lightning, but you need to be Black Lightning. But I still hate you for being Black Lightning. And I'm going to leave you again if you stay Black Lightning. But we need you to stay Black Lightning because the city's fucked. But I hate you. Like, it's just a whole thing.
It's
and
the weirdest thing ever. And I'm like,
it's poor writing. She doesn't support him. She does either leave or stay, but don't be in his bed.
Pick one. It's like,
yeah,
pick one.
Don't be in his bed expecting dick.
When the kids are like, why are y'all together if y'all are divorced?
Right. And then she gets mad because the kids have powers. And I'm like,
it's like, girl, you're literally a geneticist. You are a doctor and you are a geneticist. You mean to tell me, even I, who have the bare minimum of college knowledge of biology know that, okay, if parent A has this, but parent B does not, the likelihood of child having something from parent A is 50%.
At least a fourth,
At
like at
least.
least a fourth to a half. That's what I'm saying. It's like,
Right.
so she was mad that the kids had powers and she was trying to suppress the kids' powers. And I'm like, how did you not expect this? You should have known out the gate when you gave birth to Nessa, she could have had powers. Like,
Especially when you knew that Jefferson's DNA literally changed.
yeah, when he got him. That's what I'm saying. It's just like Lynn is like the worst. She's worse than Iris in the sense that now she's a villain because she's addicted to green light. She's experimenting on herself with green light. And like they keep going, what I hate about Lynn is 1 minute she's a junkie and the next minute she's not. 1 minute she's a junkie and the next minute she's
Right,
not.
right. Because like I'm watching the episode and I'm like, okay, she's literally shooting herself up with superpowers. So it's not necessarily green light, but it's just isolated superpowers from Gravedigger.
Yeah. And
And I'm
so
like,
it's
what?
like at some
Like,
point, at some point, you know what I mean? Like you need to pick, like they need to write in like what she is, because I get that, addiction takes time to for the body to process, but at
mhm.
between time skips and plot points, I don't understand why.
Especially since they said it's been a year. So it's
Yeah.
been at least a year time skip.
So, and I know the therapist asked her about her sobriety, but obviously she's lying, because when she's like, "Oh, it's going good," but she's lying because in the same episode she was shooting up superpowers to experiment on herself. So
Right.
it's
So
like,
it's like a different type. It's like, yeah, she's not on green light, but like she's doping up on superhero genetic serum.
it's
I don't know. It's weird. I don't
and
get
this
it.
is the last season. This is the last season of a show that could have been so much better,
It
so
really
much
could.
with a very
I
good cast,
it,
very good cast.
it's like all this talent is wasted on shitty writing. I hate seeing good talent wasted on bad writing. I really do.
We're out of
Because
time. Go ahead. Go ahead.
oh,
Finish your
are
thought.
we out of time?
Yeah, finish your thought. What
Yeah.
you saying?
Okay. I just really hope for this season they don't shove in more force like Black Lives Matter things, such as like we know y'all are for the cause, but you have to make it make sense for the show, because in the past seasons they kind of just shoved in, oh yeah, we're part of Black Lives Matter, so we're gonna just show like police brutality and let's videotape racism. Like, can we not have that just as a deter from the plot? Because I just no.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
We're out of time. So, but we'll be live tweeting Black Lightning every Monday now. They moved it to Monday, right? Yeah, every Monday it comes out.
Yes, Monday, because
So
I can only watch it on Tuesday because they stream it on Tuesday.
yeah, so we'll be live tweeting Black Lightning on Twitter every Monday. You guys can check that out. If you guys want more reviews, you guys can check the links down below in the description, or you guys can check these links out over here on screen. But it's your boy Jonathan D'Angelo, aka Johnny D, Nekoyasha09. You guys let us know how you guys feel about Black Lightning and the Arrowverse in general. We'd like to know down in the description how y'all feel. But we are out of here. We'll see y'all next week.